Welcome to Trek Trav, I'm Trav. This is your Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Episode 10, the series finale, Life Itself. If you'd like to comment, subscribe, it's free and it helps the channel out a lot, so I'd love that. Let's get into this review. Now, I'm not going to go through a play-by-play, but I honestly loved the opening. I loved seeing Michael inside this device. I liked the cubes. I originally thought it was the Iconians. I was like, my god, this is the Iconians. The structures look like it. It was also very Halo. I felt like it was very Halo, and I don't really know why. But I genuinely loved seeing like her falling into planet, and then her fighting the Breen, and then her running into Moll, and then them having a stupidly long fight for no apparent reason, which felt very Star Wars. I can't remember what the location's called. It's like the Other World or some stuff. Like it was genuinely, I was like, okay, I'm okay with this. This is great. Discovery is obviously trying to save Burnham, and then they come up with this idea to split up, and Raynor is going to fight the Breen battle fighters. Meanwhile, Booker and Culber are on the shuttle, and they're going to try and pull the portal to this dimension. And my first thought was, okay, so Discovery's in battle, they're fighting, and Culber thinks the best place for him is with Booker on the shuttle, not the starship that may have wounded or dying. Which, I can get it, they've been building up this whole Culber thing for ages. The Booker thing, I get, he's always after Michael, I understand. I certainly think that it was good. I just think that decision was a bit weird. And Stamets being concerned for Culber, but ultimately letting him go. And I think that's a good relationship. I think their relationship, him going, look, you can make your own decisions, but you know I'm worried. I think Adira was great. I think seeing Saru, and Saru's going on his mission to talk to the other Breen that are coming, I really enjoyed that. I think this whole emphasis on family is brilliant in this episode. Ultimately, though, what I was worried about was that they were going to go hyper-religious with this story. I thought I was really worried about that, especially middle of the season with Culber. But they didn't. They held back from this, and we find out that the progenitors weren't always the progenitors. There was just always like a creator and then a thing and a creator and a thing and a creator and a thing. And I liked that they left it open to sort of go, there's always a creator and there's always a creation. It goes back, da-da-da-da. I don't think it specifically says there's a god. It just sort of specifies there's a being. Michael and Locke and Michael get to the last clue. Sorry, Moll and Michael get to the last clue. Moll knocks out Michael because they're on some sort of a tepid joining. And then she gets electrified and knocked out. Michael goes in there. We get our first look at the progenitor who's talking to her. We find out Marina Dex was the last person to speak to the progenitor, which is fine. And then they talk about what it's capable of, which is creating life and creating planets. And we find out that if they did resurrect Locke, then he wouldn't have the memory, he wouldn't have the essence of him, which I think is a good move. I think bringing someone back to life was a bit too far. Michael being, and I was really worried that they were also going to go for the Michael is a god thing, and that I just had this immediate like, don't do a Cisco, don't make her a god. That's Cisco's thing. Let her be her own thing. Ultimately, I think Raynor taking control. I think the whole thing. It certainly did not feel like a series finale until the last 15 minutes. And it's very clear that they didn't know. We find out that Michael is going to have to grapple with the decision. She ultimately decides, like, I'm not going to do this. This isn't my thing. And she comes to the realization that the power's too much for one person. It's too much for anyone. Creating a life is too much. The point of life is life itself. There's a real lots of messaging, but it's really good. And for Discovery, it's on form for Discovery. Grodenchik, who has been throughout the 32nd Century series, we find out that he is Daniels, and we see like a Geordie's visor, and we see things from other series. And I'm going, do you mean Daniels as in Enterprise Daniels? Like, he's changed bodies, he's been alive for a long time. And I liked that, but I would have preferred a bigger revelation, but that was okay. I didn't mind it. And then we find out that he sort of recruits Michael for all these random missions. Overall, the Breen sort of got sidelined for the Moll and Michael part. At the same time, I think they're a good threat. I think the ships looked really cool. I think the overall season was really cool. In terms of how they dealt with the spiritual / science element, I'm glad they left it ambiguous. We saw the power of this device, or we know the power of this device, but they didn't push it to be sort of super crazy, and that is good. Like, you don't want super crazy. We don't want overly religious. It's a science fiction show, and the show has always been about, although religion has come into it, it's never been rammed down people's throats. And I think that is the best way to do a Star Trek show. Do I think that it's the best finale of any of the Star Trek series? No. But I do think that there's plenty in here that I really enjoyed. Saru and Tarina. Saru and Tarina's wedding was beautiful. And I was going, this is the most beautiful wedding I've ever seen in any Star Trek or any TV show in general. Like, the location and the design was beautiful. They finally kissed, which was great. I genuinely enjoyed that wedding. Michael and Booker finally admitting that they're in love with each other and kissing on the beach and getting ready for their next adventure is brilliant. Now, the afterword is essentially what this is, where we see Michael and Booker as an adult. We see Michael and Booker's child. I think he's really charismatic. I really enjoyed him. I thought we might see an Enterprise. We get Michael going aboard the Discovery, and they're removing the A. And then she's going to the last mission, and the Discovery has to wait somewhere for a long time. We don't really find out why. And funnily enough, it leads us into that one short trek from ages ago. So they rounded off that really tightly. All their mission, like the progenitor device, is ultimately just left to hover around a black hole. It's all sort of tied up. Michael is taking the Discovery to, obviously, the location in that short trek. And it's really good. And as she steps onto the bridge, she sees memories of people. We get her looking at Saru and Raina, and oh my god, Detmer and Owo. Oh my god, they're finally here. They pop up for 2 seconds in the end of the episode. And I think that was a good choice. I think having those two, like, they should have been the whole series, but obviously maybe they were too expensive or something. But everyone was in that last scene. Even Kolber, who apparently the actor wasn't there for that scene. But it was a sweet scene. She was remembering everyone, and she's on the bridge, and the ship takes off. And we see, like, the procession of Starfleet ships as it leaves. Really beautiful. Now, overall, do I think this is one of the best series of Discovery? I would want to say yes. I want to say it wasn't quite as high stakes as the other series, but it was a fun ride. I think that personally, the Raina was a great addition. Like, his grumpiness and his relationship with Tilly and Michael was really good. He nailed the commander role. I think Tilly was brilliant. I think Adira's story was brilliant. I think Stamets was a bit underused, but he's there. I feel like in a story about some big science thing, maybe Stamets should have been more prevalent. I think Culber was good. I did worry about the religion aspect, but he was good. It was sort of examining it. I think Booker's dedication to Michael and Michael's love of Booker really came through. And those two have amazing chemistry. Weirdly, I like older Michael more than younger Michael. And I loved their son. I don't know, A, he was super handsome, but B, I think he had a lot of charisma, and that was really good. I thought maybe we might see like an Enterprise, like he's going to be the captain of the Enterprise or something. But ultimately, we didn't see that. But this very much felt like the afterword was nice. It was a nice little sort of this is the end of us sort of thing. It was beautiful. To be honest, I was quite happy with this whole episode as a series finale. I think the only flaws were there was no Detmer and Omo for most of it, and I feel like maybe the Breen were a little underused. At the same time, the story was about the progenitor tech. It was summarizing this whole thing. I think it was realized amazingly. I think it looked fantastic. I found the black hole physics a bit odd. Like, the gravitational waves. What about the time? Like, the time slows down around about. Like, anyway, there's a lot of scientific silliness in that. But that's fine. It's a sci-fi show. They do a lot of that stuff. They keep talking about the pathway drive, but they didn't show us the pathway drive, which I would have liked to have seen. But maybe it just looks like warp, but an upgraded warp. I think that overall, this season of Discovery has been the best in the last 3. I think it's better than season 3 and 4. I think that all the actors were on their game. I think the storylines were very interesting. I think there was a bit, maybe too much of a focus on Booker and Culber, and I think I get why, because you want Booker and Burnham to get together. It's a romance thing, but at the same time, I think Culber's religious journey didn't really lead to anything other than them sort of talking about how life itself is amazing. But yeah, overall, fantastic. I love this Series 5 of Discovery. I'm going to do the retrospectives next week and the week after with Season 3, Season 4, and then I'm going to do a Season 5. So make sure to subscribe, like, and comment, and come back. I'll also be doing some more wacky, stupid videos, so make sure you come back to that too. I've been Trek Trav. Have a good night.